Captain Xylith of the Galactic Concordance ship Harmonious Dawn had witnessed many peculiar things during her 3 decades of service. She had seen the methane breathers of Titan perform their crystalline dances, watched the hive minds of Kepler 442b negotiate through interpretive movement, and even observed the silicon-based Letharians engage in their slow grinding debates that lasted for years. But nothing, absolutely nothing, had prepared her for humans and their offspring. The trouble began innocently enough. Commander Sarah Chen had requested permission to install exercise equipment in one of the cargo bays. Xylith, always accommodating to her diverse crew, had agreed without hesitation. Physical maintenance was important for carbon-based life forms, after all. The equipment arrived. Thick, colorful mats that the humans called wrestling mats, along with various padding and protective gear. "It's for the kids," Sarah had explained, gesturing to the 7 human children aboard, ranging from ages 5 to 12. They need an outlet for their energy. Xylith's translator had struggled with the word outlet, but she nodded anyway. The human young ones had been remarkably well behaved since coming aboard 3 months ago, when their colony transport had suffered catastrophic engine failure. The Harmonious Dawn had rescued all 43 human colonists, and while the adults had integrated smoothly into shipboard life, the children remained an enigma. The first incident occurred on day 4 after the mats arrived. Lieutenant Krex, a 4-armed Brenthian engineer, had been conducting routine maintenance in Corridor 7 Alpha when he encountered 2 human cubs. Emma, age 8, and her brother Jack, age 10, crouched in attack positions. The corridor was narrow, barely 3 meters wide, and the children had somehow dragged one of the training mats into the space. "Excuse me, small humans," Krex had said politely. "I must pass to reach the—" He never finished. Emma launched herself at Jack with a war cry that would have impressed a Krillian shock trooper. The two collided mid-air, tumbled across the mat, and began grappling with an intensity that sent Krex scrambling backward in alarm. He immediately contacted bridge security. "Captain, the human offspring are engaged in combat, requesting immediate intervention." Sarah Chen had arrived within minutes, took one look at the scene, and burst out laughing. "They're just wrestling," she explained to the bewildered Krex. "It's play." "Play?" Krex's vocal sac quivered. They appeared to be attempting mutual destruction. Nah, that's just how human kids burn off energy. They're actually being pretty gentle. This explanation did nothing to ease the crew's concerns, especially when the phenomenon began to spread. By week 2, wrestling mats had mysteriously appeared in 5 different corridors. The human children had formed what they called the Corridor Championship League, complete with weight classes, rules, and a trophy fashioned from spare parts, a golden bolt mounted on a hydroponics container. Dr. Vex Nala, the ship's Xinthari medical officer, had been mortified when she discovered 2 cubs grappling outside the medical bay. "They are injuring themselves," she insisted, her 3 eyes widening in distress. But examination revealed only minor bruises and one slightly twisted ankle. The human children healed with remarkable speed, and more disturbingly, seemed to seek out these minor injuries as badges of honor. "I almost had her in a headlock," young Marcus explained proudly, showing off a scrape on his elbow. "But then she reversed it into a pin." The other species' children watched from a safe distance, utterly bewildered. Xinthari young ones played by sharing telepathic poetry. Brenthian juveniles engaged in collaborative puzzle building. Even the notoriously rambunctious Keltor youth simply ran in circles and chirped loudly. This human behavior, this deliberate, controlled violence as entertainment, was unprecedented. Captain Xylith called a meeting with the human parents in week 3. "I am not forbidding the activity," she clarified, raising one elegant, scaled hand. "I simply wish to understand. Your offspring engage in combat simulation for enjoyment?" Sarah Chen nodded. "It teaches them body awareness, discipline, and conflict resolution. They learn boundaries, respect, and how to control their strength. By throwing each other onto padded surfaces?" "Exactly." Xylith's head crest flattened in confusion. "This seems counterintuitive." Another parent, David Martinez, spoke up. "Captain, humans evolved as persistence hunters and social creatures. We needed to establish hierarchies, test ourselves, and build trust through physical challenges. Wrestling is one of humanity's oldest sports. It's in our DNA." "But your young are so fragile," Dr. Vexnala protested. "They lack protective carapaces, redundant organs, or regenerative capabilities." "That's exactly why we need to learn our limits early," Sarah replied. "In a controlled environment, They figure out how much force is too much, how to fall safely, how to tap out when they're in trouble. It's life preparation. The breakthrough in understanding came during week 4 when an accident occurred. A coolant leak in Section 9 had created a slippery, dangerous situation. 2 Keltor engineers were trapped, unable to navigate the frictionless surface. The human children passing by with their ever-present mat had an idea. They spread the mat across the slick floor, creating traction. Then, using techniques from their wrestling matches, low center of gravity, controlled movements, grip strength, they crawled across and guided the Keltors to safety. The rescue took 12 minutes and not a single injury occurred. Captain Xylith reviewed the security footage 3 times. The children had moved with practiced precision, understanding weight distribution, leverage, and body mechanics in a way that belied their years. Their play had trained them for real crisis management. Perhaps, Xylith mused to her first officer, we have been looking at this incorrectly. By month 2, the Corridor Championship League had expanded. Several Keltor youth had joined, discovering they quite enjoyed tumbling about. A young Brenthian named Crix had become fascinated with submission holds, which his multiple arms made devastatingly effective. Even some adults had begun attending matches, studying the human children's techniques. The wrestling mats remained in the corridors, now officially designated multi-species recreational combat zones. Safety protocols were established, weight classes refined, and Dr. Vexnala reluctantly admitted that injury rates had actually decreased as crew members learned better body mechanics. Sarah Chen found Captain Xylith watching a match one evening. Young Emma had just pinned a Keltor twice her size using something called a cradle. The assembled crowd of multi-species children erupted in cheers. You understand now? Sarah asked. Xylith's translator caught the subtle emotion in her voice, pride mixed with amusement. I am beginning to, the captain replied. Humans prepare their young for adversity by simulating it safely. You make them strong by letting them test their weakness. You teach peace through controlled conflict, and that's actually a pretty good summary. It is terrifying, Xylith added, but impressive, Sarah grinned. Welcome to humanity, Captain. We're a weird species, but we survive. As if to punctuate her point, Marcus executed a perfect suplex and the crowd roared. Somewhere in the galaxy, an ancient human tradition had found new life among the stars, and every corridor had indeed become an arena. Xylith's head crest raised in what humans would recognize as a smile. Perhaps these strange, fragile wrestling creatures would teach the Concordant something valuable after all.